Welcome back to the channel, you Kookz. We are getting extremely close to finishing this van project. If you're just now following along, we have an entire build series. It's going to be right up here, starting from scratch on this Sprinter 3500 140 wheelbase. And today is a big day. We're putting the final touches on. Dani's working on the tile as we speak, and we're going to have this van wrapped up and done by the end of this episode. So if you've been following around, you're probably as excited as we are. We are ready to move on from this project and get started. So let's get right into Dani and the tile work. All right, Dani is working on the tile. She's kind of put down a template on this table. So we're gonna have a nice little border here and these chevron tiles. We're gonna cut these here in a second.
So what I did here is I had all the tiles laid out and I made this frame around it so that they had something to push against, and Ethan made these for me. They're 1/16 of an inch, so they're the same as the spacers, so it just made it so much easier to slide those in. And what I did is this is my frame here, and I took this and I drew a line across all of my tiles, even here. So that's gonna be the square. And I just take them over to the diamond blade. So last night I finished cutting all the tile in my frame that is also the exact same size as what is gonna be behind the kitchen backsplash. And since we only have this wood here, we didn't want to put hardy board on because it was too heavy. And honestly, in our last van, we put it straight onto the wood, and it's like 2.5 years later, and we've had no cracks in the tile, none of the tile falling off. So we're going to take it a step further because Ethan believes, since we're selling this and we don't want it to fall off, that at least if we're not going to do the hardy board, that we should at least put some primer on it. So we're putting this Hydro Band primer on it because he has a whole bucket of it and he said that we could use it. And it's just like a waterproofing membrane because it's going behind the sink. We don't want like all kinds of stuff to splash and then maybe get the wood wet, and then that's when it'll release the tiles. So where our tiles are in our van, it's not near any water. So we didn't really have to worry about it getting wet. So we got kind of lucky that we didn't do anything. But it works. Just for people that want to know if it works, it works. All right, so I'm going to get to it. All right, so in the van, we're going to be using this Flex Bond to prevent any cracks or falling off. Like I said, we didn't use any of this special stuff last time, but I was told to last time and I had already bought the stuff, so I was like, whatever, we'll see how it goes. 2 years later, it's good, but we're gonna try and do the best that we can on this stuff. So what I've mixed here is just part of the bag, and because the instructions say like use the whole bag and this much water, I watched another video on the DIY network and it just says that you want this to look like peanut butter, like a consistency like peanut butter. So I think that I've got it here. I've used this to mix. Yeah, so I think I'm about to get into it.
So Dani's working on the chevron tiles. It's been quite the project, but it's going to be worth it. She's got her layout here on the table and I'm passing them to her. And while we were working, we got some knives in the mail. The fine folks at Roiki sent us some nice knives. I'll show you what they're like. I'm gonna have to use them here in a second. So we got a nice little titanium switchblade. It's got a nice little handle on it. Here's the other knife. It's like multi-tool. It's got a few saw blades, a knife, Phillips head, little clip. So yeah, these will come in handy. And Dani's just slaving away on the tile.
So now that I've let this set for more than 24 hours, the adhesive, I'm going to start grouting and This time around, I'm using a pre-mixed grout, so I'll show you how that goes. And it seems to be pretty easy. You don't have to worry about any mixtures or anything like that, so I'm just going to slap it on and get going, and I'll show you how it goes. So on the directions, it says to wait 4 hours until removing this haze. So I'm going to wait 4 hours. So it's been about 5 hours, so I'm going to take some water and a wet sponge and go at a 45-degree angle to take off the haze. What I've noticed so far with this pre-mixed grout is it's really hard to get off. Last time that I used grout where you mix it and you put like the sealer in with it, it didn't take this long to come off, but this might be the last time that I buy this stuff. So remember I said earlier that they're gonna turn off the power because of the wind? I would just like to show you how windy it is. The power just turned off. Boo, PG&E. You guys suck. But this is why you build your off-grid home, so that you don't have to rely on PG&E whenever they want to shut down the power.
So we just put our sink in here. It's just perfect fit. I would just want to say to put your sink faucet in first before you actually put the sink in, because it's super easy to get back here and set all this up. Once the sink's in the way, it makes it a lot more difficult. So this is going to save you some time to put the faucet in first. And also we painted a waterproofing seal around this countertop down here so the water can't get in and expand that particle board in there. So we're not going to go through all the plumbing, but I just want to know, always use the Teflon tape, the plumber's tape, and go the way with the thread and do it on all your fittings, otherwise you'll have some leaks. So we're gonna put our countertop in now. We got our last of the remaining drawer fronts on, we got all our handles on, we got our sink installed, our faucet, and even made some progress down here.
So we just got one of these 6-gallon water jugs, the Reliance jugs. And Kevin made a nice P-trap contraption that goes straight into it.
Both countertops are in. We just put the cutting board back in. Looks pretty fancy. And now, we don't know what we're on to, but it is about 98% done.
99.
We got to do our trim here on the sides. We already cut them. And
waiting for PG&E to turn back on the power.
Yeah, we just need the power back so we can use the power tools. But yeah, here we are. Nice IKEA countertop.
Perfect cut with no air.
We're excited on the turnout. Alright, so we've added in our trimming here, some of these trim pieces here along the top and along the side to frame up that tile nicely. Dani is inside planing out the piece for this top piece here. I mean, and we're talking like the last few pieces of the van here. So we're pretty excited about this. And after that, we're going to install a few more latches, hinges, get our Lagun table all hooked up, and we're gonna be done. It's gonna hit the market, and we are gonna do some much needed chilling. Alright, so we got our barrel lock here, and we got a nice little sash lock. Open up, expose the cooler. Yeah, you know how it works. Can't give too much away until the van tour. So we're now working on our table for the Lagun table mount. I got my glaze coat. I already messed this up pretty bad and had to use this wood scraper to get it all off. Don't do that. I measured it a little bit off and it was very sticky. So now I got these measuring cups, and you do 1-to-1 on the stuff, and then I have a little lip here, and I'm just gonna fill it up. And if this doesn't work, I'm going to another process. Now we're gonna use a torch here to get all these bubbles out. So I applied my first coat here, It's looking really nice. Now I'm just working on sanding down these edges. They stuck up a bit from where I taped it. So I'm gonna sand it, and then I'm gonna mix together some more, and I'm gonna do the edges, and then I have to do the bottom as well. So it's quite the process, but it's gonna be worth it. All right, I'm working on my Lagun tabletop still. I'm about to mount the Lagun to it. I just wanna note, when you're dealing with this glaze coat, you really need to dial those measurements of the hardener to the resin. So I highly recommend getting one of these and just kind of looking at that and getting it very exact. And then you're going to want to mix it really well. And then I made like a dust cover out of cardboard, and I put it over it and I let it dry for 24 hours. And it came out, it's really nice. So this will be like a swivel top Lagun table for the couch. And I'm gonna mount this base on there, and then we'll show you what it looks like. We got the Lagun table in. It's a nice, nice look in here. That wood looks really nice. So it's kind of cool. It like pivots around. It's nice and big, so you can eat off it, do your digital nomading. We're thinking of maybe putting a swivel seat here, because then you could also kind of share the table with the passenger seat. If it was to swivel, you probably get a lot more out of the table if it did that. So we're considering that, but it looks really nice. And here's a nice view of the van at night. So we got the dimming lights here, and we're making progress, and we're going to be done so soon. We got the faucet in place, nice retracting, so you could even shower out the back. That was one of the ideas with having the sink here. It's got a nice little drying rack in there. Also just another one. It's a really nice sink. It even has this like food catch, which is really handy. It's huge. I mean, I wish we had this in our van, but we don't. It's got a little lid for it. It's made by Minsarjor. This is pretty nice because we always just use our sink with storage, but you can kind of just like put your dirty dishes or clean dishes here and still actually be able to use the faucet. So PG&E turned off the power, but luckily we got the Predator 3500. You can check out our review here on it. And we're using the generator to power the router. We're getting so close, so stay tuned. We will be done shortly.
We're not letting this power outage stop us.